Breaking news from SpaceX has officially confirmed a major breakthrough. Ship 35 S-35 regained partial control during the final moments of its mission. This milestone offers renewed hope for future flights. Meanwhile, over at Blue Origin, the company is continuing to expand its foothold in the suborbital space tourism market with its New Shepard program. Across the Pacific, Japan is quietly ramping up efforts for its Mars sample return mission, a bold long-term move in the race for interplanetary dominance. Do you see the bigger picture here? While the U.S. is focused on reusability and commercialization in low Earth orbit, Japan is pushing into an entirely new frontier, deep space exploration within the solar system. So what do you think is the right path forward? Refining current tech, or breaking into the unknown? What's new in space? SpaceX drops a surprise twist after Flight 9 Blue Origin prepares to launch another human spaceflight, and Japan moves one step closer to bringing Mars samples back to Earth. All of that and more, coming up on today's Space Now update. Let's get back to the headline story, Flight 9, a mission that ended on a mixed note with moments of triumph and lingering questions. From the beginning, all eyes were on S-35. The ship carried a highly complex assignment: reach orbit, deploy its payload, reignite its engines in space, survive the brutal forces of re-entry, and softly splash down into the ocean. But reality didn't follow the script. The payload bay failed to open. Then S-35 began tumbling out of control. At T+46 minutes and 40 seconds, cameras caught a glimpse of its aft flap, engulfed in flames. And then the screen went black. The live broadcast cut out. For a moment it felt like the mission had truly come to an end. Was this the final chapter of S-35? Not quite. SpaceX engineers weren't ready to give up. In the control room, they kept sending command signals, fighting to re-establish guidance and recover telemetry. Eventually, after relentless effort, an internal message believed to be from a team member surfaced and gave new hope. We did regain some control at the end. Just one line, but it completely reframed how we understand the mission's conclusion. Because by that point, S-35 had already endured brutal conditions both structurally and thermally. The aft flaps were scorched, the fuel plumbing system may have sustained damage, and the internal avionics were shaken so violently that basic operation became nearly impossible. And yet under those extreme conditions, S-35 managed to regain control of its orientation and adjust its trajectory toward the designated splashdown zone. Do you realize how critical that is? According to the strict regulations of the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, every Starship flight must stay within a predefined safety corridor. For S-35, that area lies over the Indian Ocean, southeast of Madagascar. Successfully guiding the vehicle to fall within that corridor not only prevented danger to nearby ships and populated areas, but also demonstrated to regulators that SpaceX can maintain control even under worst-case scenarios. This partial success, as small as it might seem, is actually a key enabler for future launch approvals. By proving its ability to manage crisis scenarios, SpaceX has reassured oversight bodies not just in the U.S., but internationally as well. The FAA later issued an official statement. A few days after Flight 9, the agency confirmed there was an anomaly during the mission, but reported no injuries or property damage neither in Texas nor in any affected maritime or airspace zones. In fact, the Gulf of Mexico region where the booster was launched had been pre-cleared as standard procedure. This suggests that the regulatory response from the U.S. government is likely to be limited to routine debris assessments and environmental reviews. But beyond regulatory matters, Flight 9 delivered valuable technical breakthroughs. The boost-back burn of the Super Heavy booster was executed flawlessly, marking a sharp turnaround after two earlier failures. All engines ignited and throttled as intended, and the hot staging separation between the booster and upper stage was captured in stunning visual detail. Elon Musk himself described it as a major achievement by the SpaceX team. Even more impressively, Ship 35 handled an engine-out scenario during ascent, losing one engine mid-flight, yet still maintained its trajectory. The new thermal protection tiles also proved their worth, withstanding the most intense re-entry heating conditions to date. All of these milestones confirm that the upgrades introduced after Flight 7 have truly paid off. Looking ahead, Flight 10 must build on these achievements while fully resolving the remaining technical flaws. Is the next Starship launch just days away? SpaceX is accelerating at breakneck speed with a bold target: full reusability. Are you ready for Flight 10? Join Space now as we break down the latest milestones and what's coming next. Elon Musk previously declared his goal of launching a Starship mission every 3 to 4 weeks. If that cadence holds, Flight 10 could lift off as early as June. Right now, the B-16 booster and Ship 36 upper stage have passed multiple cryogenic tests. They're just waiting on static fire trials, provided assembly pre-launch checkouts, and transport to the pad proceed without delays. Do you think SpaceX can stay on schedule? The timeline is realistic, but only if the team resists the temptation to rush. The work ahead remains complex and demanding. For example, the Super Heavy booster must avoid a repeat of the landing burn explosion seen in Flight 9. SpaceX may bring back the catch-arm method, capturing the booster mid-air with the launch tower's mechanical arms, or refine their steep-angle splashdown technique so long as the booster structure can survive higher lateral loads. The ignition system will need additional insulation and potentially redundant spark plug arrays to ensure reliable reignition. On top of that, the final 2 engine burns, tank pressure evaluations, and vibration dampening upgrades all have to be validated before they can proceed with the next landing sequence. Meanwhile, the tasks for Ship 36, the upper stage, are even more demanding. Leaks in the main propellant tanks must be eliminated through reinforced welds and the addition of secondary containment shells. Leak detection sensors will also need to be upgraded and fully integrated into each tank. The aft flaps require a complete aerodynamic and thermal redesign, possibly a smaller pivoting surface with metallic heat sink overlays and strengthened hinges to prevent warping under extreme heat. As for the payload bay door system, it must be simplified as much as possible, then subjected to pressure testing in cold vacuum conditions to guarantee that its latches and actuators perform flawlessly under stress. In space, the handoff between engine phases will need to be revalidated, and the guidance software must be hardened to respond intelligently to off-nominal conditions rather than relying solely on fixed programming. Despite juggling a long list of upgrades, SpaceX must also preserve the progress it's already made. Their launch readiness systems, ranging from pad infrastructure and abort safety mechanisms to real-time telemetry pipelines, remain foundational pillars for the company's rapid test iteration cycle. Every failure, every adjustment, every patch, each one is helping build a living library of knowledge. And that knowledge is what's turning the vision of full two-way Starship reusability into a near-term reality. At this point, the question is no longer, did SpaceX learn from Flight 9, because they already have? The real question is, can they apply those lessons fast enough to maintain a high launch cadence without sacrificing safety or core mission objectives? Think about it. Each Starship launch isn't just a display of brute force. It's a critical checkpoint in SpaceX's long-term roadmap, reusability deep space missions, and ultimately establishing a permanent human presence on other planets. If Flight 10 does lift off in June as expected, it will mark a significant milestone, the first time since 2023 that two Starship launches occur just 1 month apart. In fact, if everything stays on track, Flight 10 could break the current record for the shortest turnaround between launches, 37 days previously set between Flights 5 and 6. But maintaining this rapid pace isn't just a technical challenge, it's proof of operational maturity. From manufacturing and launch prep to post-flight data integration, every part of the system is becoming more refined, more reliable, and more capable of supporting SpaceX's vision for space dominance. SpaceX's ambition is no longer about isolated successes. It's about consistent, measurable progress, validated by every test flight. But don't mistake this for a simple race against the clock. Each mission brings them closer not just to their goals, but to two game-changing breakthroughs. One, a super-heavy booster that can return to the launch tower and be caught by Mechazilla's mechanical arms. And two, a Starship upper stage that can land with precision, whether on solid ground or at sea, ready to fly again. If those two achievements are realized, full reusability will no longer be theoretical. It will be real, and it will be right in front of us. So, are you ready for Flight 10? If you are, drop a comment below saying "Ready for 10." Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, because you're not just witnessing the future, you're living it. Continuous motion is SpaceX's true North Star. And when Flight 10 takes off, it will be the next giant leap in humanity's journey to becoming a multi-planetary species. But this race has more than one contender. While SpaceX is pushing forward with groundbreaking technologies, Blue Origin is quietly preparing for its next major move. SpaceX is charging ahead with Starship. So is Blue Origin falling silent after New Glenn. Meanwhile, Japan's JAXA is steadily preparing for a historic deep space mission. Who's really leading this race? Let's break it all down right here on Space Now. On May 27th, the same day, SpaceX launched Flight 9. Blue Origin announced that its next crewed mission, NS-32, would launch on May 31st. This will be the 32nd flight of the New Shepard rocket, and the 12th mission carrying humans beyond the atmosphere. The rocket is scheduled to lift off from Blue Origin's West Texas launch site at 8:30 a.m. Central Time, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, carrying 6 passengers on a brief 10 to 12-minute suborbital flight. The capsule will cross the Kármán line, internationally recognized as the boundary of space, before descending gently under parachutes. So, what's your take on ultra-short space tourism flights like this? They're undeniably thrilling for those on board, but in the long term, they lack strategic weight. Blue Origin's long-term strategy isn't really centered on New Shepard. It's built around something much bigger: New Glenn, the company's 2-stage orbital-class rocket, designed for full-scale missions into orbit. Earlier this year, New Glenn successfully completed its maiden launch, marking Blue Origin's first orbital flight in nearly 25 years of development. But since then, the project has gone radio silent. If this pause drags on, Blue Origin risks falling behind competitors that are ramping up their launch cadence with increasing speed and consistency. The future of the space industry doesn't lie in 10-minute thrill rides, it lies in orbital rockets. That's where the real revenue, global partnerships, and scalable expansion are being forged. As NS-32 prepares to launch, all eyes won't just be on the smiling faces inside the capsule. Analysts and space watchers alike will be scanning for any clue about when New Glenn might return to the launch pad. Until then, the countdown clock is ticking. Across the Pacific, Japan is pursuing a very different kind of mission, not tourism, not commercial flights, but interplanetary science. Right now, their focus is on Mars and its 2 moons through a bold new project, the Martian Moons Exploration (MMX) mission, spearheaded by the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, JAXO. MMX is entering a crucial phase full-scale system testing ahead of its planned launch in 2026. On May 15th, JAXA announced on X that it had begun thermal vacuum testing, one of the most rigorous evaluations any spacecraft must undergo. In an environment where air is completely removed, extreme temperatures and cosmic radiation are simulated, and every system aboard the MMX spacecraft must prove it can operate without a hitch. This isn't just a routine test, it's a final dress rehearsal. Even the smallest flaw could jeopardize an entire mission that will unfold hundreds of millions of kilometers from Earth. One standout feature from recently released images is the return module, the critical component designed to bring Martian samples back to Earth. Also visible is a unique companion IDEX, a 55-pound rover, developed through a collaboration between CNES France and DLR Germany. Once deployed, IDEX will land on Phobos, the larger of Mars's 2 moons, to explore its terrain and analyze its material composition. The primary objective of the MMX mission is to uncover the origins of Phobos and Deimos and determine how these moons are linked to the formation of Mars itself. MMX is scheduled to launch aboard Japan's H3 rocket in late 2026, timed to coincide with the ideal orbital alignment between Earth and Mars. Originally slated for 2024, the launch was postponed due to setbacks with the H3 launch system. If everything stays on track, MMX will arrive at Mars in 2027, begin orbital surveys, select a landing site, and execute a touchdown on Phobos by 2029. Over the course of 2 years, MMX will collect up to 0.35 ounces of surface material. That precious sample will then be sealed and returned to Earth in 2031, where it will undergo detailed analysis in specialized laboratories. This mission is part of a growing international effort to unravel the mysteries of Mars, not just by orbiting or landing on the planet, but by studying the enigmatic celestial bodies that surround it. Did you know Phobos and Deimos are often considered living fossils of the early solar system? If successful, Japan's MMX could reshape our entire understanding of the red planet's past. This is Space Now. If you found this update insightful, be sure to like the video and subscribe so you never miss a moment in humanity's incredible journey into the cosmos. And remember, curiosity, imagination, and inspiration will always follow you as long as you keep looking up.